problem that I'm seeing grow over the last 9 or 10 months, though, and that is these AI consultants. AI
Okay.
consultants are coming out in the world and they're saying, "Oh, I'm an AI consultant." And I recently had the experience. I said to someone, I said, that came up to me and said, "Oh, I'm an AI consultant, very proud." And I said, "Oh, so you're a BA?" And she had a blank look on her face, had no idea what a BA was. "Oh, are you a PM?" Again, blank look on her face. "Oh, you must be an SA." Blank look. So BA for business, PM for SA for.
Right.
My issue was that if this person didn't know what those acronyms were, how are they going to go into a.
Welcome to a new episode of Business Meets Life, and hello from amazing Australia. We are here with amazing Craig Keegan from the Melbourne area in Australia. I met Craig a couple of years ago, actually. We had the same kind of coach. We met in Los Angeles, not in Australia, at a conference. And what I really loved about Craig from the start is like he's extremely authentic. He is so supportive to the community. While he was like taking notes for 5 days at this conference, he shared it with everyone. He is supportive, inviting people to speak on his amazing podcast and so on. But let me tell you a little bit more about Craig. So Craig is a proud Australian who spent many years in IT and project management, followed by 25 years executing over $2 billion in mergers and acquisitions transactions. He sold his first, what? AI business in 1994? I didn't even know it existed back then. And today he executes international dental roll-ups and accounting roll-ups. Wow, so random. He is the host of the podcast M&A Profits, Lessons from the Trenches, and a mastermind host, supporting amazing entrepreneurs and founders who want to execute rather than merely talk and dream about growth, scaling, and exiting. Who doesn't, right? Especially of us entrepreneurs. Craig leads entrepreneurs and founders to the next stage of their lives, not just of their work, right? He solves their problems massively, reduces their expenses, and helps them make millions. Craig, actually, if you check him out on LinkedIn, you will see like, oh, he's been hanging out with Kevin Costner. Yes, the Hollywood actor. Worked with amazing other M&A minds like Adam Coffey, met Kimora Lee Simon, and lots of other celebrities, not only like successful business people. Now, here, Craig, what I really love, you said on your LinkedIn, and I'm going to quote you now. I solve your problems, massively reduce your expenses, and make you $1 million. Then you said, ask me how. Okay, Craig, the stage is yours. How? How do you do that for us?
Well, first, thank you, Janine, for having me. What an intro that is. Much appreciated. But let's get down to it. People are short of time. How? Simply, people say, "Oh, my business is special. I'm different." Well, yes, you are, but you're all the same. Business has 14 pillars. You've got your accounting, your finance, your HR, your payroll, your IT, your AI, personnel. Every business has this to one degree or another. Most businesses only look at or only have an interest in 7 or 8 of those 14. And then of those, they're only doing about 70% performance on those. That leaves an
Mm,
enormous amount of growth and gaps in their business and their business model, and most often also in their income. So we're not here to teach people how to suck eggs and how to do their job. What we're looking at is what they haven't done. Where are their gaps and how we can improve those and make those better for them. That's where they're going to
Mm.
grow, where they're going to stop losing money and stop throwing money down the drain, keep that money, grow it even more. So it's basically finding those 14 pillars and where people are at and what they're doing in that. It's as simple as that. It really is. Are we done now?
Sounds so simple. Actually, Craig, I've been wondering, like a lot of the M&A people that I meet, like a lot of them, they work with tradies, manufacturing. I mean, me being German, like automotive, finance, other kind of industries. And then you're really also focused on not just health in general, but also like dental roll-ups. And you've done so much in your career. Like, how did you get into specifically, I mean, not just like accounting, but also in health, but like dental roll-ups?
What a weird thing that is. Well, you want to be doing something that people want, and
Hmm.
you want to be able to solve problems because you can't go into someone's business and say, I can do all this for you. Well, what are you fixing? What are you solving? So, first off, I recognized that I needed to go and get some money. So I went off to the financier and I said, hey, what will you give me money for? They said, health. I said, excellent. Okay. What do you want to do in health? Dental? They said, yes. Okay. So I've got the money. Nice. I then went off to the private equity companies. It was actually the ninth private equity company that I found, but for story's sake, we'll say my local private equity company. And they said, we want dentists. Excellent. I've got money there. I've got a buyer there. So I've got everything that I need. All I need to do is fill in the gaps, find some dental practices, solve their problem. What's their problem? The problem dental practices have, and I didn't know this
Hmm.
before I solved those two problems of getting the money and getting the private equity, but then I looked at the business. The problem that they have is at university, they're taught how to stick things in people's mouths. That's
Yeah.
what they're taught. They're not taught how to set up a business, how to run a
All
business,
right.
how to set up agreements, how to look after staff, how to recruit, how to pay staff, how to all of this sort of stuff. They're not taught that. So then I solved that problem. Then there was
Mm.
another problem. The next problem was they want control. They don't want to lose control of their business.
Yeah.
So how do you fix that? Again, it's all about problem solving. And then I had to solve their control issues. Well, hold off
Mm.
on that one, just in case you ask me another question on that. But that's worth answering as well.
Yeah. I mean, what you just mentioned is even if I mean, I'm also a coach, right? And if we look at other like trainers and coaches, they are so good in what they do, whether it's business coaching, life coaching, and these things. But many of them don't know exactly these basics, what you just mentioned, or engineers, right? Or like look at the tradies. They don't know
Hmm.
how to run a business, these kind of things. It's mainly like they're really good in this one specific discipline.
There is a problem that I'm seeing grow over the last 9 or 10 months, though, and that is these AI consultants. AI
Okay.
consultants are coming out in the world and they're saying, oh, I'm an AI consultant. And I recently had the experience. I said to someone, I said, that came up to me and said, oh, I'm an AI consultant, very proud. And I said, oh, so you're a BA? And she had a blank look on her face. I had no idea what a BA was. Oh, are you a PM? Again, blank look on her face. Oh, you must be an SA. Blank look. So BA for business analyst, PM for project manager, SA for
Right.
solutions architect. My issue was that if this person didn't know what those acronyms were, how are they going to go into a business and re-engineer
Mm.
it, identify the problems, and go in and put in a solution? Well, what their strategy is, these AI consultants, is they go in and they ask the client, hey, what's your biggest problem? They write it down, they go home, they look up ChatGPT, this is the problem, this is the industry, come back with a solution and say, hey, I'll fix this for you. Well,
Yeah.
the experience that I have after 25 odd years is The client doesn't know the problem. And if you're the coach here, Denise, the client doesn't know their problem because if they knew their problem, they'd fix it. So what's the point of asking the client what their problem is? You, as the business person, need to diagnose their problem. You, as the coach,
Mm.
need to diagnose the problem and then come up with solutions.
Yeah.
They can't tell you their problems. If they knew their problems, they would fix it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a health warning.
Well said. Now, I would love to talk about something like a roll-up playbook. So, in your work with like dental or allied health roll-ups, what are three non-negotiables that determine whether a roll-up becomes a premium platform or collapses under integration pressure?
Well, that's that's an interesting one. First one is don't look at bad businesses. That's it. If you get a bad business, it's a bad business. No matter, you can spend years trying to fix it. Don't get a bad business. Get
But how,
great
wait, wait,
business.
wait. How do you define a bad business, right? I mean, some people would already fail here. They would know what is a good business, what is a bad business.
Right, you are. I haven't got time to figure that out, by the way, Janine. So, what do? Send it off to a professional. Get a
Right.
forensic accountant to go over the business for you. Let them do their job. They'll come back with the 14 pillars. And in those 14 pillars, they'll come back with two columns. One will be labor, and the other one will be expenses and hardware and capital. Because you need to know what
Hmm.
expenses there are in personnel, and you need to know what the capital is as
Yeah.
well. So it needs to come back. So that would be point number two is you so we've first got a good business. The second one is we need a founder that is enthusiastic and is cooperative. Because when you're doing a roll up, when you on sell this to a private equity, they're going to want that founder to stick around and still grow that
Hmm.
business even more. So you want a cooperative founder that's going to stick around for a few years as well. You don't want any of these
Mm.
grey haired baby boomers. You want young, energetic, fired up people that can see the future and are going to stick a nice chunk of cash in their back pocket and still have their life available. But the very first question, I never talk about exits, I never talk about money or anything like that. The very first question that I ask someone is, okay, you've done your big exit. I want to know. It's Monday morning. It's 9 a.m. on a Monday morning, 2 years after your big exit. Describe your day to me, please. Tell me what you're doing today. And I want to hear everything about it. If they can't
Mhm.
visualize their day in 2 years after their big exit, then you're going to possibly ruin someone's life because
Oh, wow.
they're going to do a big exit and then they're going to fall into a trench of despair and anxiety that their phone isn't ringing on that Monday morning, the next day
Yeah.
after they've exited. You need to deal
Wow.
with the person behind it as well.
I love that you're mentioning this, right? I mean, it's the same like when veterans are coming back home from war, right?
Yeah.
Or like things like this, the mental aspect. I would love to know a little bit further also, like let's look at the first 90 days, right? So many founders underestimate like the post-acquisition complexity. And you just mentioned a few things already, but from your experience, where do most integrations actually fail within, let's say, the first 90 days? And I don't know if you want to talk about culture or leadership or systems or incentives. I mean, I used to work for HP in corporate for a very long time. And when HP, I was actually there when Hewlett Packard basically like had the split. And then like
Yep.
we had a merger and for a while we were like the biggest IT service provider in the world with DXC technology. But like usually we go and hire like these big like Accenture and these kind of like the big 4 or 5 consulting companies. So yeah, what is it from your perspective, these 90 days where it's failing?
I think we need to mention a number before we start there.
Okay.
87% of M&As fail as a result.
87%.
87% fail as a
Wow.
result of integration. So you've got all these C-suite and they've gone through and they've patted themselves on the back and they've stuck some money in their pocket because they've been able to negotiate a piece of paper and the deal's signed. Those C-suite are not qualified at integrating. They've probably only done two M&As in their life. You need an
Mhm.
integration expert to come in and actually make this work. If you think that you can do it with your own staff already, you've lost. If you think that you can do it
Okay.
with your own business as usual staff, you've lost. So that's the first thing. 87% fail as a result of that.
Wow.
So now let's move on in to the 13% that I do that work. Okay. Because I've never had a failure. So let's stick with that 13% of the jobs that I've worked on. Now, it's about people. It's all
Hmm.
about people. Who are these people? Because I'll throw another number at you. 25% of the staff that you acquire will leave in the first 12 months.
Probably some of the best ones usually, right?
Yes. And why are they leaving? Well, you should know the answer to that question from day one to day five. You need to find out the answer to that day one to day five because those people leaving is going to cut into your bottom line and your profitability because then you need to go and rehire. You need to retrain. You need to pay the headhunters slabs of money.
Yeah.
That's just bad. Keep your staff. How do you keep your staff? Well, go and talk to them. Show them the new opportunities that you're making available to them. Find out what they need. Do they need to drop their
Mhm.
child off at school in the mornings? If
Yeah.
you allowed them to do that, if you change their hours to allow them to do that, would that make them
Yeah.
happier? Would that
Yeah.
keep them in place? Do they need more cash? Okay, well, that could be interesting, but we could work on that. Do they want a slab of the business? Do they want a percentage bonus of the business even? Will that keep
Yeah.
them interested and motivated? Talk to your people. Now, you can't talk to everybody. So let's start at the top. Have a one on one with the manager. Let them have a one on one, show them how to do the
Hmm.
one on one, and work your way down the hierarchy and find out your personnel needs and what excites them,
Yeah.
what inspires them.
Yeah.
So that's day one to day five. Then, of course, you've got your integration side of things on your technologies, your production. You need to lay all this out and you need it in diagrammatic format, you need dates. And like any project, there's going to be hiccups. So you've got to understand what is dependent upon what and be able, there could be slippages there. Take that into consideration. What needs to come
Hmm.
across first? Oh, I know. You need to pay your staff. If you don't pay them, then that's a problem. So
Yeah.
make sure your payroll is working in some fashion. And quite often, what will happen is there's going to be a period of time where the new company just can't pay their staff. There's no mechanism for them to do it. So you have another agreement with the previous owner. They will pay it and you'll sort them out. But it's pretty important to pay your staff. Uh,
Yeah.
then the next thing is your clients. How are your clients feeling? You don't want to lose your clients. You want to keep your clients. Get out there arm in arm with your previous management and let's go and see all your big clients and send out messages to your clients and get to know them and show them
Hmm.
things are going to change. Don't lie to your staff. Don't lie to your clients. Be upfront and honest with them. Tell them things are going to change, but we're here for you. And look, even your previous guy's here for you, your previous sales manager. He's with us. We're coming along this journey together. It's
Yeah.
about making people comfortable and feeling as though the future is going to be better, not worse.
Mhm. Just from this short conversation, I can already say I feel very comfortable talking to you because last year I onboarded on my first M&A course, joined JT Fox and Adam Coffee and Dennis. You're also part of this community. I always love the questions you ask and the comments and examples you bring in is always super helpful. So please keep that up. Thank you for that for newbies like me. And I do feel like comfortable speaking to you because I really feel like, okay, people are important to you and I can see you know what you're talking about. Sorry, you were about to say something.
You just mentioned a gentleman called Adam Coffey. You mentioned I've done over 2 billion in M&As. Well, Adam Coffey, 2.6 billion he's done. I'm actually catching up with him again, what, in 21 hours. I'm spending some time with him. So there you go. So that's good
Say
one
hi. He's
from Adam.
amazing.
Yeah, he is fantastic, and I'm very much looking
Yeah.
forward to spending more time with him.
Okay, here's my next question for you. You said that your M&A deals actually have not failed yet.
No,
This is like very, very bold to say, right? So I would love to know what has been one of your personal failures so far? And maybe it's not even M&A, right? It could be something different. Maybe you've been married 10 times. I don't know.
actually, I'm going to mention one that nearly failed, and it was a huge one. It came down to 1 minute before the go, no go meeting. 1 minute
Okay.
before
Okay, tell us
all
about
the
it.
dominoes fell into place. Had I walked through that door before that 1 minute beforehand, it would have been a no go. We're not doing it. So these things happen. You've got to get it right. You have the go no go meeting, and you've got to stick with it. But anyway,
Mm.
failures. Well, I've had plenty of those. I have to say as well. And no, I haven't been married 10 times. I have been married twice, and both the same lady for what 32 years now. So pretty
Wow.
pleased about that. Now,
Amazing.
failures. Well, property as an example, and it's a good lesson on this one. Got myself into a situation and I sold two properties. Now, that got me out of the financial issue at the time, but it was the wrong choice.
Why?
I felt pressured at the time that I needed funds over here to do other stuff, and I felt
Hmm.
pressured at the time. This was the only way. There's not just one way. There is always other ways. You need to sometimes you need to be around other people to get those ideas. And you're a coach. You can't coach yourself. Nobody can
Hmm.
ever coach themselves. You always need,
Exactly.
need your coach or coaches. So I made a choice to sell these two properties. I look back at those now and I think there had to be another way. How could I
Mm.
have, what could I have done to get someone else to take over the payments for those properties, to leverage off, to do something to keep those properties for another 6 months so that I could then get back to it? That was a
Mm.
mistake. But I think it illustrates a couple of points, and that is you need coaching, always need coaching.
Mm.
You need other people to look in to your situation because sometimes you're just not the best person to be looking at your own situation.
Yeah.
And they will come up with different solutions. They're not bound by emotion, they're not bound by pressure. They have the ability to think freely. So if you
Mm.
are making big choices and you're making big decisions, don't. Go and talk to a professional coach and get their advice. The reason
Oh,
why is they talk to so many people. They have so many other options out there that you have not thought of yourself. And if you're going into an M&A as an example, you've probably only done one, maybe two in your life in your
Yeah.
career. And then you look at me, who's done a dozen or so. Who are you going to take the advice from? Get professional advice, get a coach.
I love that. And I mean, that's exactly what you said in the beginning as well, right? Like these people like in dentistry or health or engineering trade, they're good in this profession, but not in all these other things, right? And I was just thinking, oh my God, did Craig, did he speak to my best friend? Because my best friend Alicia, she's sometimes like, Janine, don't make the decision yourself. Talk to your family. Talk to me as your friend. We are here to help. You are not alone, right? I mean, it's one of the things I'm also like still like learning, like asking for help or asking for advice. I have this super big network of amazing people and experts like you. And then sometimes we're so stuck in our mind, right? Instead of just reaching out, although we actually have all the consultants and experts in front of us who would get us to the next level, no matter where in our life.
I was at a conference in the US just last year, and a lady came up to me and she said, Craig, she said, what's your biggest problem? And I thought, oh, that's so nice of someone to ask you that question.
Hmm.
So, what's your biggest problem? And I instantly came back with the response. My issue is that people don't talk to me enough.
Oh,
People need to come and talk to me more because I can solve their problems. I can fix their issues. You
and
can't
make
do
them
that for
money.
yourself, but you can do it for others. And
Yeah.
so that's a perfect example of what I was saying. People need to
And
talk to me more.
And that also makes sense because, like in our community, you are just so there's so much awareness on you. I feel like everybody probably knows who you are, like thousands of people around the world in our community. You're always there to help, and you share your resources, which is really amazing. So thank you for that. And this is a really good reminder. And we were just mentioning a little bit about basically mindset, right? So I'm
Mm.
wondering, for example, like if you are becoming the acquirer. Like you often help business owners transition from operator to acquirer as well. What kind of like a mindset shift must happen for a founder to move from running a business to actually building a market making platform? Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs dream about, hey, M&A having a big exit, right? But they're not prepared.
I think you used a key word there. Are they really running a business or are they running a job? If they're running a
Ah,
job, then don't even think about acquiring. If I see too many people, and I spoke with someone recently and they said, oh, I just bought a bankruptcy dental practice.
mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, well, I said, first thing we've got to do is get rid of that. He said, but I got it at a great price. He bought a
Yeah.
bad business. There's a reason it was a bankruptcy. So, and if they're not making money, what people often do is they're not making money in their first business. So then they'll say, "Oh, I'll go and acquire another one that making money." They're going to run that into the ground, and it won't make money in 12 months' time because they don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to run a profitable business in the first place. So don't start going out and acquiring if you don't have a successful model to work from. You need to have
Mm-hmm.
that success first. Then go out, grab another one. Don't get too large. Get that working and make sure that your model that you thought you had is scalable and expandable. After you've done
Mm.
that a couple of times, then you can start to acquire more. But you need
Yeah.
to test your model. You need to have a model and you need to be successful first up.
Yeah. So I was in Shanghai 2 weeks ago, and I've lived in China for 8.5 years. I still have my
Mm.
consulting and training company there. One of my friends, he's from the same business school. He's French. I've always looked up to him, and he has just sold a second company. He's still in the business, still running it, and the company, it's an IT and marketing agency, but they're like not only in China, in like Singapore, Asia, in France, and so on. So he basically, like, now that you were talking about this, and I know his situation, how it is afterwards. Like now he's part of this bigger corporate. He hired even a coach to help him with this. The culture is different, how things were before. I'm wondering, let's talk about wealth versus fulfillment. So you basically work with these founders. They're seeking liquidity, leverage, legacy, or whatever is driving them, right? What have you observed about the difference between those founders who exit just wealthy, right? And you mentioned this earlier. Some of them, they don't know how life's going to be like 2 years from now. And those founders who actually exit fulfilled.
Ah, okay. There is a huge difference, isn't there? And you can have money in your pocket, but that doesn't necessarily make you fulfilled. And
Mm-hmm.
there is a difference between a founder and an entrepreneur as well. A founder is someone that's built a business that is personal to them, whereas an entrepreneur has built businesses, has built ecosystems, has built a number of different businesses. That is a different mental state to a single founder of a single, in my case, single dental practice. That's totally different. So a founder in that case might get money in their pocket, but what are they going to do with it? Are they going to go on
Mm-hmm.
holidays for 2 years and then lose it all? What are they going to do with it? Whereas an entrepreneur, they will, oh, what's next? And they'll be like that. They'll be so excited about, okay, I've got this. Now I can do a bit of this and I can do a bit of that. That's the excitement. And
Yeah.
that's the difference in the terminologies as well from an entrepreneur to a founder. So that you've got to ask yourself the question, are you a founder or are you an entrepreneur? And if you are a
Hmm.
founder, fine. That's okay. You just have a different post-exit requirement. If you're an entrepreneur, even better, you've probably already got plans that you want to do later on. But you need to
Mm.
understand who you are.
Mm. Who am I? Very powerful questions in here that you're asking. Let's quickly stick with the entrepreneurs now, or like the founders, right? What is, let's say, a business owner wants to increase the enterprise value over the next 3 to 5 years. What are like the three highest leverage actions they should take immediately?
There's three, are there? I thought there was only one. Okay. Well, let's just go with the one.
Okay.
AI. AI. That's it. Get
Please elaborate
AI
on
in
that.
there
Fire
and
your
get that
employees
done.
and just have AI?
Just go for AI. But then we spoke about before, you need an AI architect to come in because you can put AI in here, you can put it in there, you can put it in there. AI is changing so rapidly at the moment.
Yeah.
You might rip that out and put something else in later on. First of all, you need to understand the 80-20 rule. And that is that 20% of all your issues are going, if you resolve those, will lead to an 80% increase in your profit. As you work, pick the biggest issue that is going to drive up your profit margin, that is going to drive up your revenue. Work on that. Stick AI into that component and make it work. The thing about the 80-20 rule is it never actually changes. You never get less than 100%. The 80 and the
Mm.
20 always add up to 100. So as soon as you get rid of that biggest one in the 20, you've then got to look at the next one. What was the next biggest? And that's going to have an, just keep focusing in on that. You can go and put AI into your business.
Yeah.
Where? Because you've got payroll, you've got HR, you've got people, you've got production, you've got logistics. Just start with one, the biggest thing that's
Mm.
going to give you the biggest return, and keep doing that. That is going to solve so many problems. It's going to help you with your people as well, because they're going to be able to start to use their heads and start to leverage more of their capabilities, of their personal capabilities, because they've got more time to do it. They can
Yeah.
start being clever rather than being mundane.
Yeah.
So AI is the only thing that you should be doing right now. Putting that into
Very good advice. Now we have an action point for everyone who's an entrepreneur, business owner here. You know what to do, right? So, Craig,
But keep in
you
mind my opinion of AI consultants. If they, the quick test is, if they don't know what a BA is, and don't tell them. If they don't know what a PM is, don't tell them. And if they don't know what an SA is, don't tell them. Show them the door. Simple test. Ask them those three acronyms. If they don't know what it is, show them the door and
Mhm.
find someone else.
And if you guys need an AI marketing agency, contact me. But that's a different story. So, Craig, you are not only like an amazing expert for M&As and profits and super successful over decades now, but you're a family man and you are a leader. So, in these very I imagine these the job you're doing, it's or the work you're doing is like very like has a lot of like high stakes pressures, like what you're like dealing with these kind of environments, and it's inevitable, right? How do you personally actually manage pressure, decision fatigue, and the psychological weight of these large transactions?
I don't think I have those.
Really? How is it
No,
possible? I mean, you always seem so positive and lively.
exactly. Exactly. That's that's why. I don't think I have those because that's what I focus on is keeping the upbeat, working with great
Mhm.
people and being inspired. So no, I try not to be involved, put myself in those situations. But the essence of it is have good people around you, work with great people, and find, I someone asked me, so why do you do a podcast? And it was, I think it was
Mhm.
my 26th podcast, a guy asked me, and he said, so what are we doing here, Craig? I said, oh, I said, didn't you realize? I said, you're actually in the middle of a job interview. I said, I'm looking for great people. And I said, my podcast is totally for me to find great people to work with, great people to employ. I said, so you're in the middle of a job interview. I said, shall we continue? That's the
That is
key, really,
amazing.
is find the great people to work with. And you don't have those issues that you're talking about.
Hmm. I love it. Let me dig a little bit deeper beyond this, right? So I
You go
love
for it.
the amazing people. I'm a people person like you. That's why we get along super well. That's why I felt attracted by you from the start. Also, by the way, I gotta tell you, you have a very good fashion style. Every time I see you at the conferences, like every day, I think a different suit, different color, different style. I'm like, so different, but also it makes you stick out again and you're easier to remember. So great branding for
That's
sure.
exactly it. That really is exactly it.
Mm. That's how it is for me with the red. Usually, like when I'm on stage, like red fingernails, red lipstick, red. I mean, red was China, my company logo, red outfit, right? So,
You do need to have a way that people remember you and remember you for a positive reason. And
yeah.
that does open doors for you. It really does.
And if I didn't remember you, we would not be having this conversation now, right? And especially the
Mm.
positive emotions that I'm also getting when I think about Craig Keegan. We're slowly coming to an end, but I want to dig a little bit deeper about happiness, identity, and success. Has your definition of winning changed over time?
Absolutely.
Tell me
However,
more.
I was a totally different person. This version that you see here is version 5 of me. I have
Yeah.
been through quite a number of changes in my life. I came from a very abusive family and horrible family. And so I, when I could, I got out and changed my name, changed everything about me, and I became a different person. Then, of course, I met my wife, and that was another change. And it wasn't the end result. Uh, I don't know why she ever married me, to be perfectly honest, with the person that I was at the time. but I hope that I've improved an enormous amount since then. Then my son came along, and that was another change as well. But I, a bit personal here, but I had another change, and that was with a friend of mine. I was doing a life coaching course, and I had to go and see a friend. Oh, I went off and saw a friend of mine, and we spoke until the very early hours of the morning. And what I found, I didn't ask my wife to marry me until after I knew that I would never hit my wife, never hit or abuse my family at all. I, because my father did it, his father before that. So it was quite a generational thing. And I did not ask my wife to marry me until I knew that I had that under control. But that just meant that I had a strong personality. It didn't mean that I had solved the problem. So this time during the life coaching, I went up and I saw a friend of mine and we spoke. And it was during that session that I got rid of that anger, that violence out of me. And no longer did I have to suppress those feelings any longer. So it changed me. So that became another version of me as well.
Mhm.
Winning, winning, hey? Well, I used to be a tennis
First of
player.
all, thank you so much for sharing this.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
used to be a competitive tennis player, and I would
Hmm.
win at all costs. If you were in my way, I would hit you with the tennis ball. I would smack the tennis ball straight at you. You've got a racket, defend yourself. And I got complaints of people for hitting little Johnny and whatever. Uh, I I wanted to win. That desire hasn't changed. The methodology has. Definitely the methodology has changed. And I think, and I hope your viewers have already noticed that from up to this point in the conversation of who I am now compared to the person that I've just described.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I've just started life phase number three. So it's interesting to see a bit on how your different life phases, like who you are. And yeah, I would have never guessed that if you didn't tell me now the different identity that you basically had. So thanks for
The
that.
proudest thing I've ever done, and I can't imagine doing anything prouder, is my son will never know violence. His family will never know violence. And I broke that. So I've broken a generational violence syndrome, and he will never know that. So that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of in the world. And
Hmm.
no one really knows about it or can see it, but I know it.
Yeah. Wow. What an end to this podcast. I think there would be 50,000 other questions I'd love to ask you, but I'm definitely going to see you again soon. Thanks for making the time. I know you're super busy. So, last question now. Who should reach out to you?
I run a mastermind for people that want to achieve results and want to be held accountable. Reach out via LinkedIn. That is the way to go. I have dental roll-ups and as accounting roll-ups happening as well. If you're in either of those spaces, you may want to catch up with me because I will show you ways that you can triple and quadruple your current value, which is incomprehensible right now to you, I assume. But that's why people talk to me.
Amazing. I think we had such a good, authentic, positive call now. Thanks again for being here on Business Meets Life. I appreciate it. Guys, if you loved today's session with Craig from Melbourne, Australia, sharing is caring. Share the episode to your friends, your colleagues, family. Follow also Craig's podcast. Connect with him on LinkedIn, on Instagram, as you like. And have a great day wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much, Craig, for your time.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, Janine.